Hello, Rajiv. Thank
Hi,
you for
Karen.
joining me today. Why don't you introduce yourself to the Informs members?
I'm Rajiv Garg, Associate Professor of Information Systems and Operations Management at the Guesvera Business School at Emory University.
And where is that located?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you been an Informs member?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, not counting.
So you started as a student, you said?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So tell us how you got into this field. Take us back.
So that's actually a long story. So my interest was research to begin with, and I did fascinating work in computer science. So I used to work on a project with NASA, JPL, all very fun, but I was missing something. Like I thought that there is something that I'm not really finding in it. So I left, did consulting work. For consulting, I actually was working on artificial lakes, power plants, creating online videos to help people navigate the internet for job search. This is 2001.
Okay.
But then I realized what I was missing was the applied value, applied work. Like whatever I do, what is the application for it? And this is where I kind of learned about the PhD in the business school or management area or Informed. And that is where I was like, this is fascinating. I mean, you could do research, you could do innovation, which has applied value.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in.
Great. So it seems like, and you just mentioned this, you did make a switch from industry and business to then academia about a decade ago. So tell us why. Again, you kind of just did. But what have you learned from each career? Let's go with that. What
so from industry, actually, I loved industry, like the consulting. And the work is fun as long as you enjoy it and you do what you enjoy. It's great. The downside is like when in industry, if you're a successful person, like you're doing a good job, your leaders, your managers think you're perfect material for management. And you become manager. I became a manager quickly, and I hated it.
Oh,
the only thing I liked about management,
less fun stuff, like in the weeds. Okay.
So I was a very hands-on person, and I think what I like about academia is I could be hands-on, and I could still make meaningful connections. Like so, management. The only good thing is making those human connections, right? In some ways, I was a horrible manager because
I'm sure the people under you wouldn't say that.
No, but the academia, I make those connections, I do innovation, I do research, and this is the best job in the world.
So best of both worlds for you. Great. So how about any advice for OR analytics students who are trying to choose this career path between academia and industry?
I think that's a great question. I think the best advice would be to explore, to discover what's out there. Right. I mean, nobody will hit the home run on the first ball, right? I mean, we may not be able to hit. Like, so we have to keep trying, keep looking. Think about it's not the first job I'm going to be in, and that's going to be my home,
forever,
right?
Yeah.
So we need to explore, discover ourselves, what we enjoy. Like, work for a company, switch, like go to academia. Like if you're getting a PhD, I think just enriching your learning, your experiences, making those connections will help you in the longer way. So I have a research paper where I can predict people's careers. And what we found is people, when they switch or move jobs, they tend to rise faster and they tend to enjoy the work more.
That makes sense.
So
they're obviously unhappy to make the switch, right? So then they're more motivated. Cool. So you talked about you love research and innovation. You do a lot of research in digital marketing and social media. So what does your most recent research reveal about that topic?
So the most research that I mean, there are multiple papers, but the most current one that I'm actively working on is voice analytics. We all have heard of the Alexas and Siris, and they're great, but they're bland. We probably won't communicate, engage in a conversation with those. I mean, if we want to buy something, we will look at Alexa or maybe talk to, but we will, like, after a few seconds, we'll be done. I mean, have you seen the movie Her or Superintelligence, right? So it's where AI is changing the voice.
Yes.
And that's what we're working on. We're saying, look, the voice could be classified into different buckets. Every person's voice. So we took about 600-700 voices of celebrities and people. We clustered them into 6 different buckets. And we said, now let's see which of these voice is better for engaging customers to, like, if you want to seek information, want to learn about weather, if I speak in a voice that resonates with you,
right.
you're going to engage more.
Yeah.
If you want to learn about, say, a massage chair to buy, like what kind of voice I can use to convince you that you should buy it.
Interesting.
And so what we found is, all these different voices, if you use a luxurious or a posh kind of a voice, so that's one of the buckets, you can actually engage people in buying more or learning more about utilitarian products. And that's something we will not think about. It's a very luxurious voice, but I'm selling a shoe. I'm selling a belt, right?
So not just that voice for the massage chair.
Yes,
you want that voice for your mop
regular
and
stuff.
the
Yes,
Swiffer.
yes.
Interesting.
Or maybe laundry detergent. Whereas you need a charismatic voice for that massage chair.
Yeah, interesting.
We found that if you use seductive voices, they're actually bad for everything. Then we found differences in voices for male versus female. Male audience tends to be more attracted and engaging with the female voice, whereas the female, they are indifferent. Right, so it's a male voice versus a female voice. So those are some very interesting things. Now, if you get the new Alexa or Siri on your device, we know what voice we should talk to with you, right? So as a result, you'll communicate more.
And I'll buy more stuff. I want Samuel L. Jackson to tell me everything, tell me what to buy, tell me what the weather is.
And Samuel Jackson's voice on Alexa was the motivation for us, yes.
Yeah, cool. Great. That's awesome. So you also do work on digital technology, that's kind of that, but including blockchain and NFTs, which I can't even pronounce what the long
non-fungible tokens, yes.
I see that everywhere now, I really do. So can you briefly describe what those things are and what your research on those things entails?
So I have 2 very different research projects. So the NFTs are essentially, think about the cryptocurrency. You're minting a coin. In NFT, you're essentially, instead of coin, you have an image.
Okay.
And you're just collecting them, and every piece, as everybody wants more of it, the value goes up. Now, in terms of a coin, you're essentially, the coins are all identical, right? So the value goes up for every single coin the same way.
Okay.
So one of the things we are doing with the crypto is, so actually before talking about the research, so give you a background on it, think about a stock market. In stock market, what if you knew there is a large investor buying 1 million stocks of a company versus there's a large investor selling 1 million stocks of a large company? Would that change or influence your decision to invest? Most likely, right?
Sure.
Versus if you think about the meme stocks, now instead of one investor buying or selling those 1 million stocks, you have millions of investors buying 1 or 2 stocks each. That will also influence the market. Unfortunately, that data is with financial institutions like Robinhood or JP Morgan. They will have that information in the back end. Crypto, that information is in blockchain. And so we said, okay, we're going to look at all the transactions distribution and segment the investors. So are there investors buying, large investors buying, mid investors buying, these very small algorithmic traders that are buying or selling? And then we can predict the cryptocurrency movement on a 10-minute interval. And we're more accurate than any other model that's out there in the market right now. So, although it's still,
congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's still 60% accurate, but it's better than a flip of a coin.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Is that published work? Right?
No.
Not yet?
No, not yet. Cool. That's a downside of working on too many interesting things. Move slow.
Right. Well, speaking of publishing, you have published in a handful of scholarly journals, including Management Science and Information Systems Research, both Informs journals. So which Informs journal do you read the most and why? So
I actually read Management Science, ISR, and Marketing Science, all 3. One, I'll say Management Science more, because when I attend these conferences, I see the papers in early stages. Almost every paper that's published was presented at some point. And if you're attending these conferences, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But sometimes the journals surprise you. Like there's a paper you see that you haven't seen before. And so in management science, there were 2 papers actually, just this last issue, on A/B testing. So one of the paper was saying, this is by Berman and Vanden Bolte. He is saying that every online A/B testing that we are doing and trying to create interventions and stuff, almost 20% are wrong. So if we decide that I wanted, based on A/B testing, I found something interesting to advertise, to market,
right.
I should give up like the hope that every 100% will be correct.
Yeah.
Only 80% will be correct. There will be one that will be wrong.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, so there's another paper around the same issue, maybe the previous issue, on again A/B testing was published, where startups, when they're using experimentation and A/B testing in-house, they can innovate better. They can learn more quickly.
Okay.
And so, but very two contrasting, and but it was surprising, and it's like, okay, I haven't seen this work.
Nice.
This is fascinating.
Good. Glad the journals can surprise you still.
Yeah.
So you've also worked with Inform's public relations manager to get your research into mainstream media. So can you talk about this experience a little bit?
Yes. I spoke with Ashley Smith. I had a pleasure speaking with her. But I love speaking with her. It's really fascinating. Like if you think about academics, we are in our own silos, in our own world, not able to translate how our research might be effective. We think about how we're making a contribution to the scholarship, right? But people need to understand that. Yeah. And I think working with Ashley, it was such a pleasure, because she helped me translated how this could go to policymakers, to public, on, look, we have this disaster-based or an analysis research, and how do you prepare for disasters? How do you plan for natural disasters better, right? And I think this is phenomenal. So I think we need more of Ashley Smiths.
Yes, we do. So how did you know to reach out to her? Did she find you? How did that work out? Do you remember?
I think she found me. So she had some survey that she conducted, and I was like, this is really cool survey that is talking about the practice value, or the value for research. So I participated in the survey.
Good.
And so I think from that somehow she thought I might be useful.
Great. And you have been. So tell us something you've recently learned. Anything fun? Doesn't have to be from work.
Yeah. So this actually is interesting, where my kids, or my daughter, made me realize. So I used to think the equitable access to health resources exists, but I was proved wrong. So recently, Emory University had a center where they're trying to sort of fight diabetes.
Oh.
And so my daughter found, and she was working with them to, like on a research paper in her class, that within a state, not everybody has access to resources to counter diabetes. And I was like, we have technology, we have internet, it should be accessible, right? I mean, I somehow couldn't think that people don't have time, people don't have internet connection, people don't even know like where to look. And that's a problem, right? So if we know, a lot of times we go to Google search, I mean, we need to know what we're looking for, right? What if there was a system or technology, and that's where we, I think, need to go, is that tells us what we need to look for, because we don't know, right? So I mean, our social networks could tell us, but they need to know, right? So how do we figure that out? And I think this is fascinating, and probably going to influence my future research as well.
Is that what you're working on next? Definitely. So you're a member of several Informs communities, including the e-business and social media analytics sections, as well as the information systems and marketing science societies, and probably some more. So what is so valuable to you about being part of these groups?
That's a great question. So we all do our research in silos, right? So if I think about, like, my research is around network science. I look at most of the papers around networks. But I'm then bounded by, like, okay, I'm looking at a research or an area or every other paper within that domain. And there's all this fascinating work that's happening on the periphery. You wouldn't know it. Like, how would I know to attend another session that may have some interesting paper? By being part of these subgroups and these special interest groups kind of thing, it's sort of the emails I receive, the more I learn about the people, I attend those sessions, I make those connections.
Yeah.
It makes my own research more rich.
Yeah.
It allows me to create those meaningful connections with other people as well. So I think, ideally, if I could, I want to be part of every single special interest group, but we have to balance that, yes. Like the amount of information I can consume or the attend.
Right.
So, and I mean, I think this is important because this allows us to get that diversity of ideas, diversity of innovation around our own domain.
Have you found any research collaborators through these groups? Anyone you've worked with that you wouldn't have met otherwise?
I work with plenty. I can't remember where I found them.
Yeah.
But like you go to a session.
Just say yes, you did find them through these groups.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And I think, won the best paper award in the social analytics or something. I'm forgetting the name now.
Social media analytics?
Yes.
Yep.
So, and I found that organization. I was a member. I was attending some events and the presentation. I thought, this is great. And then the next year, my paper got the best paper award or student paper award. And I was like, this is fascinating.
Keep coming back.
Yes.
So besides those community business meetings that you said you like to attend, what are your other favorite parts about the annual meeting?
So in the early years, like as a student or a junior faculty, I used to love to hear more research. Like anytime you attend a research presentation, it's fascinating. Like, oh wow, this is great. And you keep thinking, how are we going to apply this? Like, how is the world going to use this? And then connecting with people, definitely. As you move forward, I think, in careers, I mean, I'm still finding time to attend few presentations, but like this year, for example, we are recruiting. So half of my time is going into those activities.
Career fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just those kind of things that we are doing, like connecting with people still, like all these socials, the dinners.
Yeah.
They're fascinating.
Yeah.
Like learning about new people. I mean, we keep getting new students and they're all awesome.
Yeah.
They're so smart. They carry them so well, and they're doing fascinating work.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
it's great.
Yes, that is great. Is there a presentation that's a must-see for you at this meeting?
So there is a session by Cynthia Rudin tomorrow on simplified machine learning.
Yep.
I would encourage, if people could hear this, to attend that. I think that's tomorrow. And then Leonardo, who is talking about how analytics could or helped about save 3,000 people's lives in Chile.
That was the Edelman winner.
Yeah. So I think that would be, it's giving me goosebumps right now talking about it.
So how about any interest you have outside of work? What do you like to do for fun?
So non-work related, me and my family, we try to go on hikes every Saturday. So that's our Saturday morning routine. We try to figure out a new hike trail.
A lot of hiking in Atlanta?
Atlanta. Oh, there's so many places.
Yeah.
I mean, we've barely repeated any trail right now. So, and then, that's...
Hiking with the family.
Yes.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here. No, thank you, Kara. Thank you for having me.
Of course.